If you want to provide for yourself, you can go do that. Just pack your bags and build yourself a house in the middle of the forest. Oh, I didn't realize it was that easy. Silly me. Here I am struggling from water insecurity and struggling from food insecurity because instead of building myself a house in the middle of the forest after getting kicked out and left homeless and stranded, I decided to come to the middle of the desert and live in my RV and try to build a self-sustainable community. I'm doing it all wrong. Thank you for the advice. Fuck democracy. Fuck democracy. I don't believe in rulers. I don't think anybody needs to be led. I don't think anybody needs to be protected. I think people are more than capable of leading themselves, of protecting themselves, of speaking up for themselves in any way they can. Fuck your democracy. Democracy is usually about majority rules. I don't want anybody to rule, majority included. If majority rules, then what about the outliers? What about the people that didn't agree with what most people came to the consensus to? In my opinion, if we want a truly free world, because that's what, in my opinion, everyone wants. Everyone wants freedom. Everyone wants to be truly free. Everyone wants to be left alone, to be allowed to live, to be allowed to express themselves. So if we really, truly want freedom, we also need freedom from these ideas, from the ideas that we need democracy in order to have a semblance of a hope for the future. Like, who are you to tell me how to live my life? Who are you to tell me what the best way, what the most moral, what the most good, what the most pure way to live my life is? Even if everybody came to the consensus, this is the one true right way to live, this is the way we have to move towards, what about the outliers? That's not freedom. They're not going to be able to live the life they want because they're living the life majority rule wants. Fuck democracy. I don't want no democracy. I want anarchy. Total anarchy. I'm really wondering if you actually listened to and paid attention to the entirety of that video, or if you only listened to the part that said quit your job. I'm wondering if you paid attention to the part where I said quit your job if it's making you miserable, and where after that, since I realized that that's not possible for everybody, I said, okay, place firm boundaries at work, with your coworkers, with your boss, because I want to make sure that people aren't being exploited. I want to make sure that people feel empowered to not be overworked and underpaid. And then even after that, I said, start or join a community program, a community pantry, a community kitchen. There's so many community programs that you could start or join to have access to things that you need. Because you know what? I'm trying to encourage people to see the optimistic reality that a better world is possible. A world where you, David, do not need to work for money in order to have access to your basic needs. I think that you, David Tacey, you deserve healthcare, education, food, water, shelter, communication, transportation, without the need for money. You deserve access to your basic needs. You deserve a quality lifestyle without it having to be dependent on your income level. But dude, nobody is stopping you from being a wage slave. You are an adult, you have autonomy, you have power over your own decision making. You can continue to work and make money. That nobody is taking that away from you. In fact, the only people taking away the opportunity to work for money from anybody is the people in power, the people that have the power to hire and fire people, the people that have the power to have employees. There's really just a couple things that I would like for you to take into consideration. One, the whole concept of like lower, middle, and upper class, it was made up in order to make people believe that they were in the middle class. Once you take that into account, you realize there's only two classes. There's the class of people that need to work in order to make money, and there's the class of people that make others work for them in order to make money. So, taking this into account, we understand that 99% of the world is the working class, and that you and I are in the same shoes. You and I are in this together. If you would like to continue to work in order to make money, in order to have access to your basic needs, which you deserve access to, please go right ahead. But I would ask that you just consider standing up for yourself more, speaking up for yourself more. If your boss or your coworkers ask too much of you, ask you to work extra hours without the pay, never offer a pay raise, never offer better quality at work. It doesn't matter what kind of line of work you're in. If you're in the class of people that needs to work in order to make money, in order to have access to your basic needs, you're part of the 99% of us. Whether you work in a blue collar or trade job, whether you work in an office job, or corporate, or whether you work in a service job, it doesn't matter. You are part of my class. We are in this together. If you quit your job, if you stopped working for a year, would you have a social safety net? Because if the answer is yes, congratulations. That's amazing. And there's so many people that have that generational safety net, generational wealth that they will be taken care of, even if they stopped working for a few months or even a few years. But if the answer is no, you wouldn't have a safety net if you decided to stop working, or if you just weren't able to work, if for some godforsaken reason you became ill or injured and you weren't able to work, even if you wanted to, if you wouldn't have social safety nets available to you then, I would suggest starting to find community and starting to find people that believe and understand that you deserve access to your basic needs. A point that I don't know how to make any clearer is that my loyalty doesn't lie with any country. I'm not mad when things seem un-American, because I am un-American. I don't want to be anything like my country. I don't want the culture. I don't want the homogenization. I don't want the patriotic spirit. I'm not proud to be an American. I'm not pro-country anywhere. I don't think Viva Mexico. I don't think that I don't celebrate Independence Days, because they're all farces. All of them. Any country that celebrates an Independence Day has forgotten that none of us are free until we all are. And until we accept that aiming for a collective liberation will give us the liberation we personally, individually want, until we accept that, we're going to be stuck in this loop, in this cycle of let's keep on fighting for pieces of land that are lined by an invisible border. Like, countries are invisible entities. My loyalty doesn't lie with an invisible entity. My loyalty doesn't lie with an invisible Almighty God, or an invisible all-ruling government, or an invisible country that tells me that it's there to protect me somehow. That somehow if I stay within its borders, that I'm going to be better off than if I were given freedom of movement to go wherever the fuck I wanted, whenever the fuck I wanted. Make it make sense. I don't want borders. I don't want this whole like call for unity that countries have are to make you patriotic, are to make you feel like you have a shared goal, and that shared goal is to be proud to be an American, or proud to be a Mexican, or proud to be whatever country you're from, bro. So many people too, like, they'll see my posts about America and be like, yeah, I always wondered why America sucks so much. And I'm like, yo, do you live in an income-based country? Because if you do, your country sucks too. Any country that is still currently using the monetary system sucks to me. I don't think anything should be commodified. I don't think anything should have a price tag. How do you determine the value of anybody or anything? How can you, like, just with the pure fact that we all think differently, just that. Is that not enough to understand that we can't put a price tag on something or a person? Like, everyone's like, well, some things are worth more than others. Okay, so how much more valuable is a doctor than a janitor? Without that janitor, you're going to have trash piling up, grime everywhere. The nurses are going to have to pick up the slack and have to do more rushing around to try to get places sanitary so that patients don't die. So really, which one is more valuable? Which one is less valuable? What does that mean? And like, people value invisible entities more than like tangible items and like living, breathing beings, seeing beings that have life flowing through them, that have light receptors, that have like plants, animals, humans, everything on Earth. Anything that's on this planet either came from space, like stardust, or from plants, from organic material, like everything. Fossil fuels, the chemicals that they tell you to avoid, it's all plants. We're plants. Why are we restricting ourselves? Does nature have borders? Like, is nature like, oh, hold on, I see a hard line there, I'm gonna actually stop right here? Yeah, no, this is where I'm gonna have no more of this plant growing. No more. Not allowed. This is where I draw a hard line. Like, no, nature doesn't give a fuck. It grows. You see it growing between the concrete, like between the pavement. You see it bursting out like a tree or grass or like the sunflower. And we think that we can confine ourselves to countries? Make it make sense, bro. I don't get it.